Oleksandr Usyk wants Deontay Wilder next?
Excuse me?
Team Usyk is targeting Deontay Wilder?
What did he say?
I said Oleksandr Oh, you playing? You heard what I said.
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. If I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? Welcome back to your favorite boxing news channel, Dr. Boxing Talker. We are back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I don't know what time it is. Doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. Before we get to it, let's go ahead and smack that like button. Let's do it together. Appreciate it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Keeps us going and growing on this YouTube platform. So check this out, man. Team Oleksandr Usyk, primarily the newly appointed director of the team, Sergey Lapin, because he replaced the former manager Oleksandr Usyk, who just stepped down, or just had to split with Oleksandr Usyk a couple weeks before the clash for undisputed against Daniel Dubois, right? So Sergey Lapin, who, like I said, is now the team manager, he gave an exclusive interview to World Boxing News. And during this exclusive interview, they brought up, of course, what his next move is going to be, if he's going to embrace retirement or is he going to keep fighting. And they decided to go the keep fighting route. And if he does continue fighting, he's looking at guys that are, going to do something and shake up the boxing world as far as them having a big profile and somebody that people are interested in seeing. And they landed upon Deontay Wilder.
What?
And when they were asked about Deontay Wilder, they said, yes, that fight is very realistic and it is definitely a possibility sometime in the near future. But in the midst of that, he also acknowledged that, of course, they have other people in the mandatory positions, but they're just not that attractive to that fight. Now, they didn't mention Joseph Parker in particular, but of course, that's who they're talking about if you keep up with the current boxing landscape, as Joseph Parker is the heavyweight that is considered to be the most deserving of the Usyk fight, since he is the WBO interim champion and has been for a little while, right? I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm not really interested in that fight. No disrespect to Joseph Parker. Like I said, I do think off of merit and because of his ranking or because he's an interim title holder, where he's at, his current position, he is the most deserving. But is he the most intriguing? No, for me, the most intriguing matchup for Oleksandr Usyk, if he's going to continue fighting, if the all-time great heavyweight is going to continue fighting, I think that he should fight Ajit Kabayel. I think that's a better stylistic clash, and I just think that's a better matchup that I'm particularly more interested in. Joseph Parker, I'm no disrespect to Joseph Parker, but I don't see him giving Usyk any type of trouble, you know what I'm saying? Just considering the last opponents that Usyk has had, and then Joseph Parker, the current streak that he's on is just not too impressive to me, Yes, he beat Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder was a shell of himself. Yep. Yes, he beat Zhilei Zhang, but Zhilei Zhang was 42 years old.
Damn. I'm sorry.
And yes, he beat and he got dropped twice in the process, against Zhilei Zhang. And yes, he beat Martin Bakole, but that was literally on less than 48-hour notice, in less than 2 days. You saw the beer belly. Man looked like he just coming fresh off the picnic, eating jollof rice and fufu. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to my boy Bakole. But that's his 3-fight win streak. It's just not impressive to me because I pay attention to boxers. No disrespect to Joseph Parker, but I have to be honest, and I do remember that he has 3 losses, one to Anthony Joshua, one to Dillian White, and he got stopped by Joe Joyce, so I just think just putting everything in context, he does deserve it the most for sure. So I wouldn't be mad at that fight. But the fight that I'm looking forward to, if I had to pick somebody, I'd pick Ajit Kabayel. And speaking of Deontay Wilder, I would kind of be sort of intrigued. It depends on what Deontay Wilder does, right? And that's what Sergey Lapin has commented on. He said that Deontay Wilder has to do a little more, right? And speaking of doing more, Daniel Lapin, who was Sergey Lapin's younger brother, he had to do a little more, right? Because he was the beneficiary of a robbery against Louis Edmondson. I'm just saying, that's neither here nor there, but I did watch that fight, so I had to comment on it. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bro. Tell little bro, tighten up. But anyway, speaking of Deontay Wilder, who's one of my favorite heavyweights, I do agree with him that he would have to do a little bit more to earn that fight, because him coming back and beating Tyrell Herndon, no disrespect to Tyrell Herndon, but he's pedestrian at best. He's not really a world-class level, right? And Deontay Wilder used to be. I don't think he is anymore, but he used to be. So beating somebody like him doesn't really make doesn't really convince me that you would do anything with Oleksandr Usyk. But, you know, it is the Bronze Bomber. You know, Bomb Squad is real. So, you know, that right hand's that equalizer. If he could land it, then you know what time it is, man. He can put anybody to sleep. So Deontay Wilder is one of my favorite fighters. But for me personally, I just prefer when the greats, I said this before, I said this many times, I'm going to say it again. I prefer when the greats, when they're on such a severe decline, they just call it a day, because there is life after boxing. So whether you're Manny Pacquiao or Deontay Wilder or James Toney or Roy Jones or Vladimir Klitschko or Layla Ali or whoever else you want to talk about that's contemplating coming out of retirement or coming out of retirement, literally, I just don't really like it. Or Mike Tyson, you know, I just don't really like it, because to me, it's not really doing their legacy any justice. That's just one aspect of it, right? The other aspect about Deontay Wilder versus Oleksandr Usyk is that I have to admit, man, and not admit, I have to expose people's, you know, people's slanted point of view and perspective on certain things and certain fighters, right? It's so crazy that nobody ever acknowledges Deontay Wilder's age, right? Or how many battles he has, right? When he fought Joseph Parker, he was 39 years old. And he has almost 50 fights. He had 48 fights, if I'm not mistaken, at that time, right? Nobody said he was old or had a lot of ring mileage. But that's crazy, because when we talk about Tank trying to fight Lomachenko, who is younger than Deontay Wilder and has less than half the amount of fights he has, a significant amount less fights, no one says that, oh, well, you know, Tank can fight him because Lomachenko's not that old, right? But they always try to focus on the fact that Lomachenko is quote unquote old. And that's cool. I don't mind if you have that point of view and perspective, but why don't you apply that when talking about Joseph Parker's win over Deontay Wilder? No one mentions his age or his ring mileage. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention that, you know, also speaking of Oleksandr Usyk, they say Oleksandr Usyk is old. Deontay Wilder is older than that. And he has more fights. They say Terrence Crawford is old, right? Some people. You guessed it, right? You see the theme? Deontay Wilder is older than that and has more fights. You see what I'm saying? So it's just funny how we do consider some things for certain people and some we just omit completely. I just think it's kind of crazy, you know? And I could keep it going if you would like, you know, Beterbiev. Well, slow down. Wilder ain't that old, but he's not too far off. He's only like a year and a half younger than Beterbiev, right? And you guessed it, though. He has double the amount of fights.
Damn. I'm sorry.
The fights is Beterbiev. So I just think that, you know, growing older is real, and I think it affects it impacts and affects some fighters more than others. But also couple that with a lot of with being older in physical age, time on God's green earth, but also couple that with having 49 fights now after he beat Tyrell Hernandez. Yeah, 49 fights or 50 fights. I can't remember, but still, it's either 49 or 50, right? I don't have my notes in front of me, but it's either 49 or 50. So he has a lot of fights, significant amount of fights. So if anybody's old, it would be Deontay Wilder. So when you talk about him potentially fighting Oleksandr Usyk, it's like, is it just a resume builder? Is he just trying to knock off names that are in the heavyweight division to build? And I'm not mad at that. Build up his resume. That's cool. You know, to me, he's already an all-time great, right? I think he's definitively the best heavyweight of this current iteration of heavyweights. And the only thing that we could consider is how he stacks up well, hypothetically speaking, against the other former greats in the heavyweight division, like a Lennox Lewis, like a Muhammad Ali, and so many others, right? That's the hypothetical dream matchups that we could talk about, because that is where Usyk is at. You know, he's at the upper echelon of the fighters, you know what I'm saying? So right now, though, you know, him beating Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, another guy that we say is old, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder is older than that, right? But, you know, he already beat them and just beat Daniel Dubois for a second time. There's not really much for Oleksandr Usyk to do, you know, if he wants to keep fighting. Hey, how can you tell somebody not to keep pursuing their dream, you know? And if your dream's to fight and you're living your dream, keep doing it. And Deontay Wilder, if Deontay Wilder wants to keep fighting, then why not try to go for undisputed glory against Oleksandr Usyk? If you're going to fight, you should fight Usyk. You see what I'm saying? But just realistically speaking and objectively speaking, taking any type of personal bias away from it or any type of feelings or sentiment, you could tell from Deontay Wilder's past performances and Usyk's past performances of recent memory that he wouldn't really have a realistic chance. But if this is going to happen, then I kind of agree with Sergey. I agree with Sergey Lapin that he needs to at least, you know, maybe get another win, and where you could convince us that this is an interesting fight. But off the strength, Wilder versus Usyk, I think the names alone, Wilder still has a big name
To this day.
And so that's going to pull some people in. But is it going to galvanize Wilder's true fan base and boxing's true fan base, Usyk's true fan base that recognize that, hey man, not just Usyk, but also more importantly, Wilder's probably far past his best days, you know? So is it really a worthwhile matchup from that standpoint? I don't know, you know, but hey man, hey, they're thinking about it. hey, let's see it. But I will say this, another word of caution. Remember, Deontay Wilder has been in this position quite a few times, most recently against who did he fight? Joseph Parker, right? Remember on the, I think it was a Day of Reckoning card, if my memory serves me correctly. Day of Reckoning was when Anthony Joshua fought Otto Wallin and he beat him, and Deontay Wilder was supposed to beat Joseph Parker, and then that was supposed to lead up to that mega fight, right? That long awaited showdown. And obviously Deontay Wilder, he fumbled the bag, you know, he didn't beat Joseph Parker, and that's where we're at, right? So don't be surprised if we are saying that Deontay Wilder should get another win and he fails to do that, you know. But like I said, I think it's not indicative of him not being good. It's not a testament to him not being good like people try to pile on. No, Deontay Wilder was good. He picked up boxing late and he accomplished what he did. There's a lot of boxers that fight in this boxing sport that never become a champion. He was an undefeated champion for a long time, almost a decade, you feel me? So you cannot forget that when Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fought, that was for the crown of who was the best heavyweight of this generation before Usyk came along, right? So we got to respect that, you know what I'm saying? Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. That's usually how it goes. Of course, sometimes we get a draw, but you get what I'm saying? Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. That don't mean we disrespect the person that lost. You see what I'm saying? It's just so funny to me that you could beat Deontay Wilder if you're Tyson Fury and be elevated as one of the best heavyweights of this era, right? Which I think he did successfully, right? I like the Gypsy King. But how can you say that the other person that lost is trash? So beating Wilder elevates you, but he's trash?
Know your fucking place, trash.
You don't get elevated for beating trash. And it's so funny that people also say that, oh, Deontay Wilder's not that good. But then I've never heard anybody say Joseph Parker was good until he beat Deontay Wilder. So that's contradictory at best. Once again, you cannot be good or elevate your status if you're beating trash. So the truth is that Deontay Wilder is not trash. It's just that now where he's at in his current point of his career, he's just slowed down heavily. You know what I'm saying? That's what being older does. He's one of the oldest fighters, and he's one of the fighters with the most fights. I don't think any heavyweight has anywhere near the amount of fights he has. Maybe Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora has about the same amount of fights as Deontay Wilder, right? I think they have identical. I think they both have 49 fights going on 50, right? So the only difference is that Derek Chisora, I like Derek Ward Chisora, but he lost a whole hell of a lot more times than Deontay Wilder did. Yeah, and they're about the same age too. So, you know, outside of what? I'm trying to think. Outside of Canelo, Derek Chisora, and Vladimir Klitschko, when's the last time somebody had his 50 fights? You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about somebody that's been a world champion and stuff like that of recent memory. So I'm not talking about ever. I'm just talking about recent, like in the last 10 years or so. You know what I'm saying? There's not too many people. So shout out to Deontay Wilder. Do I like this fight? I don't really like it. But if you're going to keep fighting, you might as well fight for undisputed glory. And shout out to Oleksandr Usyk. There's just not really much for him to do. You know what I'm saying? So him fighting Deontay Wilder is understandable if he wants to fight Joseph Parker or Jit Caballel. Y'all let me know what y'all would prefer. Out of those three, the current landscape, I heard some people say, I think Turkey wants Moses Atama. It's way too early for Moses Atama to fight Usyk, in my personal opinion, my humble opinion. I would prefer a Jit Caballel over all of them. But, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'd be cool with Deontay Wilder if he keeps fighting. If you're going to keep fighting, it's dangerous. You might as well go in there for the glory. You feel me? And that's undisputed. So I would have Oleksandr Usyk beating him handily, though. That's just my personal opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Don't forget to smack that like button. But most importantly, remember with God, we could do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold, we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.